Thank you. Dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to meet you all this afternoon in a session that will discuss responsible artificial intelligence for sustainable development. AI is the greatest technology disruption that we are facing today. It has offered opportunity and challenge for all sectors, including the development sector that we will discuss this afternoon. And how can AI help countries to achieve their sustainable development goals? How can we create a global collective action to facilitate its implementation and mitigate the misuse of AI? To answer these questions, I already have a wonderful panel, and afterwards, we will present the key principles of responsible AI for sustainable development and launch the AI SDGs compendium as the major key outcomes of this conference. So let's begin our panel discussion. I would like to welcome our panelists today. First is Mr. Achim Steiner, the UNDP administrator, Ms. Bärbel Kofler, the BMZ Parliamentary State Secretary, Mr. Daniel Schmid, the Chief Sustainability Officer of the SAP, Mr. Sangbu Kim, the World Bank's Vice President for Digital Transformation, and Ms. Hindou, Oumarou, Ibrahim, the Indigenous People's Rights Advocate from Chad. Welcome to all of you. Now, let me begin with Secretary Kofler. Secretary Kofler, everyone talks about AI these days. But from your perspective, as a leader of the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, why should we value and prioritize AI in development cooperation?
Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much to everybody joining us for that, I think, very important discussion, because artificial intelligence can really have an impact also on development issues. And that's why I'm very grateful that you're all participating and joining. My ministry is using or supporting that technique in development sphere since 2019. So we were one of the first ministries or first countries to see that there is a beneficiary momentum from artificial intelligence for development. And I think there are simple examples which make it quite clear. For example, whatever you can do in promoting evidence for health, for the health sector, for example, evidence to people, artificial intelligence used by questions of diagnostic and the use of medicine. If you are in the agricultural field, you can use artificial intelligence also in informing farmers, giving them information what to do, spreading knowledge, which is basically there, but not at the current point, not always available to everybody. And for a ministry who is working worldwide with artificial intelligence, we get out of the barrier of a few languages. We use it for using it for local languages and then having a reach out to people who normally don't have an access if everything's only printed in English or French. So that's also some barriers we are overcoming. So we were working in that, have some experience in that. And we are very happy that other partners are joining us on that path now, that we are working together with partners, European partners like the UK. We are working with the US, with Canada, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That indicates that there is already a broader approach to that topic, and therefore it's very important for us.
Okay, so actually there are a lot of benefits that we can get from AI. But why are there, then it brings me to my next question. Why are there so many concerns for digital technologies, especially AI, for being, why it's important for AI to be responsible, quote unquote. And for this question, I think I would like to go to Mr. Steiner. As the leader of the UN Development Wing, what's your perspective in this matter?
Thank you very much, and let me begin by also recognizing His Excellency the President of Ghana, who will speak to us later on. And I think one of the things that the Hamburg Sustainability Conference is meant to do is look at the opportunities of the future, but from many different vantage points. And I think AI is for all of us still something that we are beginning to only fathom what it will represent, maybe to some, or possibly to all. So here's the first challenge for any development-minded person. If we believe in a technology as being an enabler, how do we make sure that it is accessible? Because one of the things we learned with digital technology is that it carries an inherent contradiction. On the one hand, extraordinary opportunities of access, of being able to program, to create apps. On the other hand, an unprecedented concentration in the market for basically platform services. And by definition, and to me in particular, and I think many of you may have noticed this, when Uber first arrived, a brilliant way to help consumers, but suddenly in the middle of a country appears a whole new technology without really any regulatory framework, without any consideration of what it might also cause. And I think, as human beings, we have learned over the ages that new things will not always be immediately understandable. In the environmental sphere, we developed over time the notion of a precautionary principle. Now, that was applied to the issue of GMOs, for example, but is there an equivalent of a precautionary principle for the introduction of artificial intelligence? And I'm sure Hindou will speak in a moment from the vantage point of, for example, indigenous peoples. Is this an empowering technology? Is it even going to be accessible? Because if it's commercially not interesting, maybe access is going to be precluded. Other things have to do with the way that we apply artificial intelligence. And I don't know if any of you remember Dolly the sheep. It was a very famous sheep about, 25 years ago, genomics and unlocking DNA, the ability to create essentially identical sheep, and it was called Dolly. And to many of us at the time, it represented a dystopian view of what science might represent in terms of unlocking, for example, DNA and technology. And the interesting thing is Dolly the sheep has disappeared from our narrative. Does that mean that, genomics is no longer something that could be used in a negative sense? Or have we created the regulatory framework, the rules, the norms that allow us to make a new opportunity? And AI is an extraordinary extension of human abilities to do things in the future. Are we able to quickly catch up? Because the reality of technology in the last 20 years is that it's constantly outpacing the ability of society and through our governance process to actually put in place the rules of the game. So I'll stop here. Thank you.
Okay, so like other technologies, actually, there are unintended consequences of AI that we may still haven't seen that yet. So I will go to Mr. Kim. From the bank's perspective, what do you think, how can we ensure that AI will reduce and not worsen the existing global inequalities?
Thank you. Actually, AI is a new, very high-end technology. So to be honest, we cannot drastically reduce the inequality in the AI era, but we can do our best to catch up. So that's the thing. But there is some phase of the development of the digital technology and even AI. So definitely, I would like to highlight that basic infrastructure, the internet access, and service and device affordability does still very important. But on top of that, in order to prepare the AI innovation, I would like to say three things is very important. One is very transparent and clear, transparent and accountable governance itself. So actually AI is a tool, not the purpose. So it should be of the human, by the human, for the human. So government and the people can control this whole ecosystem and platforms. So in that sense, clear and transparent and accountable governance is very important. The second thing is that we should train our people and educate our people, get to know better about the AI technology. So without better understanding of this technology, we cannot really catch up and face this. So the third thing is that actually we need to think about the customization for the local context. So not only just large language model, we can think about the small language model that is more affordable, more energy, computing power efficient, and also very localized the contents they can create. So yeah, we can think about many other ways by using some different type of the technology of AI. So maybe we should be very creative. I'll stop here.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about preventing it to worsen inequalities, but it's like encouraging the government and the people to prepare themselves, educate themselves about AI. Okay, so now I turn to the private sector, to Mr. Schmid. How do you see the business case for responsible responsible use of AI?
Thanks a lot for having me and allowing me to represent the private sector. I feel already the pressure from the room. Let me answer your questions going through 3 steps. First, I would like to build on the connection of sustainability and AI, then touching on the risk perspective, and then sharing here with you, with the audience, some concrete, tangible examples how AI can make a difference in the sustainability development journey. So let me start with that connection. And the business case of AI comes through if AI in a business context is done in a relevant, in a reliable, and equally important, in a responsible way. And look at SAP. We earned the trust of organizations for 5 decades now, dealing with their business-critical, super-sensitive data. And we need to do the same in the AI world. We need, through responsible AI, earn the trust of the stakeholders. If we do not do it in a responsible way, we will not get there. So in our case, we apply AI as business as AI in an embedded, integrated approach. And the same is valid for sustainability. I'm proud saying that SAP, we don't have a sustainability strategy, but we have a sustainable business strategy, which is a big, big difference. It starts with our purpose of helping the world run better and improving people's lives. Our vision is to get the best out of every organization, and the best is defined by business agility, resilient value chains and supply chains, and sustainability. So you see, it's a core pillar of our business strategy. And here for AI, it's so crucial we do it in a responsible way. Yeah? And let me briefly touch on the risk perspective, because everyone is touching on the energy topic. You just mentioned it. So we need to use AI as well as an innovation and creativity driver, like sustainability is an innovation driver. So the part of the energy-intense part of using AI is when you train the system with mass data. Why not doing that when you have a lot of renewable energy in the grid? Why not doing that over the weekend when energy-intense industries are bringing down or shutting down their production? That is one way to do it. Equally important, you need to enable the developers and the engineers to do it in a way which leads to the most efficient way by applying AI. Second, touching on the human rights perspective, I learned through the Lieferketten-Sorgfaltspflichtengesetz, it's one word, so it's a German due diligence supply chain act. I learned that we have a key issue in the AI value chain. There are people in Kenya, there are people in the Philippines with the labeling exercises doing an amazing job that we don't see these ugly pictures. They have to see it, but they don't get the mental support, mental health support. They have crazy working hours. They don't have the salaries they should earn. So it's a key topic in the value chain. We need to address and mitigate these human rights topics there. And then third, ethics. We already started 2018 having 7 principles being defined. Now we move to the 10 principles of the UNESCO. And we created from the beginning a strong governance model, including an external outside-in perspective with an AI sustainability panel, where the Global South is as well represented. We have a person from South Africa sitting on that panel, being a wonderful sparring partner for us. So again, the business case comes only through when you do it relevant, reliable, and responsible. And let me touch briefly on 2 examples in the sustainability area. So one is emission mapping factors. So the issue is, it's not yet a mature world like financial accounting, and we need to get there. And we run the material flows of our customers. Now, the AI solution is there, being embedded in our sustainability footprint management solution to get data out of life cycle assessment databases and connect it to the material flow. So you have the connection of financials and non-financial, and decision makers can make informed decisions and see the data in a connected way. Number one. Number two, we, the private sector, need to fulfill the alphabet soup of reporting standards. It's a huge effort, a huge manual effort, so we embedded an AI report generator in our sustainability control tower, bringing down up to 80% of the manual efforts that the people, the sustainability experts, can improve the sustainability performance, and we don't have these manual efforts just to report and fulfill the alphabet soup. So and final comment, I learned through a BCG study that AI has the potential to reduce emissions between 5 and 10%. So it's a huge lever we have in our hands, and we need to use it in a responsible way.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schmid. Now, let me turn to Ms. Ibrahim. From the civil society perspective, what's your take on responsible AI?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me, Excellency. So nice seeing you here. And as the only one from Africa or from the Global South and talking about AI, I'm like, really? So when you wanted to talk about AI, the first thing that you need is electricity. I'm coming from the place of the world where people do not have even access to the light. And when you need AI, you need a big electricity to build a database. I'm not talking about turning on or off light or just putting your computer or putting your phone in the charge. The AI needs a big electricity for data. And this is the first injustice that AI is creating to the Global South. Who is talking about the AI? It's the Global North. Who are moving fast about the AI? It is the Global North. They are not talking about it for the resolutions of the problems that the world is facing. They're talking about AI that to take people up to the sky and do something else. How about the real problem? How about the real people? I think if we want to have the fair AI, we need to think about the justice and inclusivity. And the first thing is, how are we building the AI? We are taking the critical minerals into the soil. Those critical minerals exist in our countries. They are all in the developing countries. And we cannot extract those critical minerals to build the AI and leave those who have those critical minerals behind and tell like, okay, let's go and support them. We don't want to have the support. It is not a charity. Let's sit in the tables, talk about clear AI justice. It is a human rights-based approach, firstly, to give development to everyone. Secondly, it is the accessibility, that how are we going to use the AI? Are we using it to prevent the floods, to prevent the drought, to build the peace among the peoples? Or are we using it to really develop an economic models, again, that can make others rich and leave others really poor? So we need to build that differently.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. So the AI that we really want is the AI that can be built by us. Imagine now and here, when you have the floods, everyone will take his phone or get an alarm is his phone, just like move because the flood is coming. In my nomadic community, when the flood is coming, you just have to observe maybe the animals that are running, the birds that are flying, or the flowers, or the plant, so you have to be wise. So why not we cannot build the human intelligence? Why we cannot build the indigenous intelligence? Why we cannot build the AI who can help us to fight climate change, end the poverty, build the food, get the accessibility, but not the AI that continuously threat the global south and just to say, we are coming there to help you, you can get the phone, you can trade with the phone, while you are trading with the sky and we have to trade with the soil. So that is the justice I really wanted to see into the AI.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Ibrahim. I think that's a very, very strong point. I think coming from Indonesia, it resonates with me. So before we're talking about AI, we still have serious problems with infrastructure, just like what Mr. Kim has pointed out as well. Electricity, it's a big problem for us, let alone AI. So I will return to Mr. Steiner. What is the UNDP is currently doing to address the challenges that have been raised by the other panelists? I heard that the UN recently just issued the Global Digital Compact, and how is this compact will help to address these issues that we are discussing?
Well, I think the first thing that the United Nations had to do is understand the significance of the advent of AI. This may sound self-evident to many, but actually I think probably most of us in this room did not think that AI would explode into our lives, be it a nomadic life, be it a life of a teenager, or be it the life of SAP, quite as suddenly. It's actually very interesting. When you go back to 2015, the 2030 agenda did not even mention AI, which is a reminder of how quickly something has become not only a possibility, but it is actually omnipresent suddenly. And whether it is now the kind of realities, risks, or constraints that Hindou described, whether it is some of the, let's say, global perspectives that are also playing a part here. And let us remember, every technology can be weaponized as well as utilized. So I think for us in the United Nations, it has been, and for me personally, very intriguing and fascinating to see the world turn back to the United Nations on a topic that I often say nobody would have thought the world would look to the United Nations for. Remember the age when the internet was the ultimate proof of liberating yourself from government, until the dark realities that you described. I have seen the people who have to work for Facebook and others and Twitter, and including in Kenya, who essentially become patients that need psychotherapy for doing a job that we so call the digital economy jobs. I think we are now at a point where we have to, on the first instance, ensure that that AI economy of possibilities is subject to a normative but also a regulatory framework. Hindou called it also the human rights-based framework. I think there are many aspects, and I think the interesting part that we are, in a sense, exploring here, and again, Bärbel, you spoke to it earlier on, can the Hamburg Sustainability Conference be an incubator for a discourse around all these contributing elements that we have to bring together to allow AI to be something that is largely an opportunity and rarely a risk? And for us in UNDP, it's in particular also the opportunity for developing countries to again leapfrog with the technology. We now have a new center that we are setting up on sustainable development and AI as part of a G7 decision in Rome. We are discussing with other countries across the world where we can draw on their expertise in order to make this available to countries who may not for another 5 or 10 years have the domestic institutional or indeed individual capabilities. So we're also a bridge builder. So it's from the fundamental rights perspective right through to how do we ensure that we recognize that this is now a technology or a capability, I think is perhaps even the better term to use, that will connect us across the globe, whether we are active participants or simply at the receiving end of it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Steiner. And I think because we have a very tight schedule, Mr. Kim, looking at these challenges and situation, how do you think that, what would the bank suggest to accelerate AI or scaling up AI to address the development challenges, or simply just addressing the infrastructure problem first? Very quickly,
Okay,
sorry.
I totally agree with you. So infrastructure, accessibility is still most important part. Without that, like energy, the electricity, without access, nobody can use the AI. But on top of that, if we really want to build some AI ecosystem in a certain country, definitely I would like to say the AI ecosystem is one of the fundamental. Again, training our students, training our kids to get better understanding of how AI technology is moving. So that's one of the very important preparedness for our society. So yeah, please, I would like to really focus more time on my time to train the people by lending and whatever the tool we have.
Okay, so there's emphasis on training the people to adopt with AI. Okay, I think this is our last question, my last question to Secretary Kofler. It was an initiative of the German government to create the Hamburg Sustainable Conference and make it a multi-year conference. How is the BMC planning to sustain this important momentum for responsible AI at the HSC and beyond?
Well, thank you very much, and that's maybe also the possibility to combine various approaches which were mentioned here in the round, because I didn't want to have the impression or leave with the impression that we think AI is the solution to any kind of development issue. That would be wrong, because I totally agree with what you were saying. There are fundamental issues. If you don't have electricity, you cannot use AI. So that's clear. And you're totally right about supply chains and how people are deprived of rights and possibilities just because how distributed the wealth is distributed on this planet. So it's not the solution to any kind of topics. But that's the link to our Hamburg Sustainability Conference. We are here and we really want to push the SDGs in the broad range, and also using AI, like Achim Steiner was mentioning, because it was not part of the discussion in 2016, using that to see where can this new technology trigger positive momentums. That doesn't mean that it doesn't have other development issues we have to tackle, maybe also first in some places. Yeah, the access to energy, the value or the decent work issue, and so on, environmental issues have to be included in that. And that's the whole range of topics we want to trigger here. But seeing that we are really not on track, like the Secretary General is saying with the SDGs, we also have to have a look how artificial intelligence can give a push where it's needed and where it's possible, and be critical, and I'm agreeing with what I said there, that we are not opening up another gap and another divide and not reinforcing maybe wrong storytellings with permanently, consequently using the same narrative which is wrong through artificial intelligence. So there are so many challenges, but also chances. And I think we should be aware of the challenges and use the chances. And that's what we want to do with our Hamburg Sustainability Conference, together with UNDP and our partners, to see how we can build up also a framework built on the principles of the SDGs, build it on that guiding principles, and set up a working process, taking that as a starting point to come up really with a artificial intelligence declaration which is leading to development and is not broadening the gap.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Kofler. And that wraps up our panel discussion. Please give a round of applause for our
I think this is
panelists.
not
Okay,
fair.
okay, go ahead. Yes, sure.
You
Yeah.
see, that's what we are talking about. So they get the
Sorry.
second questions. For him and me, it's not fear. So
Yeah.
we are all like being prisoner of time.
Yes.
And this is not acceptable because that's how the developing countries been prisoner of time and left behind. So I have one word to tell you about the AI. We cannot stop it. It is on the way. I am not naive, but we can change it. And the government can change it by putting a right legislations that can be human right-based approach, gender approach, because we cannot leave the AI just to be managed by man and use that maybe for the weapon, but not for the solution for the world, because women can do that for the solution for all the world. So we need a right legislations on that. And we need to invest on the youth. And I'm asking investment, I'm not saying charity, and invest on the youth on the global south. They are smart, they know what they do, because if they are doing best without the electricity, without the AI, imagine with the little electricity and little support, they can be the master and they can change the world. So invest on the right one. And lastly, we cannot only take the solutions on the AI, combine the traditional knowledge of our ancestors with this AI knowledge, and that will help the humanity to do not forget living in harmony with the nature, to reconnect with nature, but to use also the AI to fasten these reconnections. I did my part. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, my mic is not working, so I need to, now it's working. And I would like to build a bridge to Ghana, because I made a first-hand experience through a wonderful program which is called Social Sabbatical. And I was there 2016, working with Soronka Academy and Regina and her great team, who is addressing exactly SDG number 4, which is for me the basis. It's about quality education. Yeah? Next to infrastructure, it's the foundation that we don't increase the digital divide. We need to bridge, we need to overcome that. And by the way, one key learning was, if a family from the underprivileged areas from Accra is able to buy a smartphone, who gets it? The boy and not the girl. And this academy is focusing on the girls, on the young women, providing them access to digital skills, and that makes a huge difference. They can create the future of their life. I learned a lot. These impact stories from them are so encouraging and so important. So now the bridge to Ghana from my own experiences.
Thank you for our panelists. It's really unfortunate that we have a very tight schedule. Now, I would like to ask all of you panelists to remain seated as we proceed to our next segment, in which we will hear the keynote speech from His Excellency President of Ghana, Mr. Nana Akufo-Addo. The floor is yours, sir.
And we have always to thank God for Hindou. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank the organizers for the opportunity to speak at this forum. As I reflect on the journey of human progress, I'm reminded of a simple truth. Every great technological breakthrough is as much about our values as it is about our capabilities. Today, as we discuss the integration of artificial intelligence, AI, into our global governance systems, I'm moved by the potential we have either to shape a better, fairer world or inadvertently to create new divides. AI holds remarkable promise, but like all innovations that change the course of history, it demands that we consider how its power can be harnessed to the greater good, especially for those who have historically been left behind. For us in the Global South, this is not just a technical issue. It is deeply personal. Our people, our nations, and our futures are at stake in this new AI frontier. Ladies and gentlemen, when I think of it, I think of AI, I'm reminded of my own childhood in Ghana, watching my father and his peers envisage a new nation after independence. They knew that the tools of progress had to be shaped by respect for human rights and individual liberties, by observance of the rule of law, and by social solidarity. Similarly, AI is a powerful tool, one that has the potential to lift communities out of poverty, improve healthcare, enhance education, and even help us address the existential threat of climate change. In Ghana, for example, we have already seen how AI is being used to boost agricultural yields and provide life-saving diagnostics to people in remote regions. But we must be clear about the risks as well. In a world that is already deeply unequal, AI, if left unchecked, could widen the gap between rich and poor nations and between the privileged and the marginalized within societies. In my own country, Ghana, where manual labor still forms the backbone of many livelihoods, the fear of automation displacing jobs is indeed real. We cannot allow AI to become a new mechanism of exclusion. That is why we must all come together to ensure that AI benefits everyone and not just a privileged few. We're all aware that AI systems are shaped by the data fed into them. And as they learn from the data, they can also learn our biases and prejudices. If we do not consciously design these systems to promote fairness, they will continue to reinforce existing inequalities. Consider for a moment the young girl in a rural community in Ghana, full of dreams, eager to make her mark in the world. If AI is applied responsibly, it could open doors for her to access world-class education and healthcare, enabling her to compete on equal footing with her peers around the globe. But if the AI systems of tomorrow mirror the world's current disparities, they will close doors to opportunities, further extending the gap between her potential and her reality. As leaders, we have a responsibility to protect her future and the future of millions like her. We must work to establish governance frameworks that ensure AI is used ethically, inclusively, and sustainably. This is not just a matter of technological development. It is a matter of justice. The key, I believe, lies in three fundamental principles: ethics, inclusivity, and sustainability. Firstly, AI systems must be built on ethical foundations. We must insist on transparency and accountability in the development, employment of AI technologies. These systems should never reinforce discrimination, whether based on race, gender, or economic background. AI must work for humanity, not against it. Secondly, we need to focus on inclusivity. For AI truly to drive development, it must be accessible to everyone, regardless of where they live or what resources they have. We cannot allow the digital divide to widen. In Ghana, we're working to ensure that our young people have the skills and infrastructure they need to participate in the AI revolution. But this is a global effort, one that requires international cooperation and investment in capacity building across the global south. And finally, sustainability. We all know that time is running out on the climate crisis. AI can play a critical role in helping us address environmental challenges, whether it is through better climate modeling or more efficient resource use. However, we must also ensure that AI itself is sustainable, both in terms of its energy consumption and its long-term impact on our planet. I'm reminded of an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. As we consider the future of AI, this proverb has never been more relevant. No single country, no single company, and no single individual can shape the future of AI alone. It will require collaboration across borders, sectors, and communities. It will require us to share knowledge, resources, and opportunities. In alignment with this vision, Ghana has outlined a bold and comprehensive national artificial intelligence strategy for the period 2023 to 2033, which seeks to integrate AI into key sectors such as education, agriculture, and healthcare, while ensuring inclusive development. Furthermore, Ghana is proud to support the African Union's continental AI strategy, which emphasizes capacity building, ethical AI governance, and cross-border collaboration to position Africa as a global leader in AI innovation. Together, these strategies reflect our collective commitment to harnessing AI responsibly for the socio-economic transformation of our continent. And this is where multilateralism comes in. The development of AI should not be left to a few technologically advanced nations or giant corporations. Institutions like the United Nations, the African Union, and the World Bank must work together to create inclusive, equitable standards that ensure AI serves the interests of all humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, the future is bright, but only if we make it so. AI has the potential to change lives for the better, to unlock opportunities that were once unimaginable, and to help us achieve the sustainable development goals that we hold so dear. But this can only happen if we make the right choices today. Let us harness the power of AI with wisdom, guided by a sense of justice and a deep commitment to building a better, more inclusive world. The future is not just about technology. It is fundamentally about people. Let us ensure that AI helps all peoples to thrive, not just the fortunate few. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, sorry, I would like to invite you to sit on stage, since we are as we proceed to the next segment. Yeah, go ahead, Mr. President. Thank you. So this is, we've already have a very, very powerful message from His Excellency President of Ghana. AI should not be a new form, should not become a new form of exclusion, should not be a new form of injustice. And this is why we need a global action for responsible AI for sustainable development. And here at the HSC, delegates have started to work on putting together the key principles for responsible AI for the SDGs and launch the AI SDGs compendium online, and which we all can contribute and discover the key principles by checking out the website sdgaicompendium.org. Once again, we can see the key principles and the work from the HSC on the sdgaicompendium.org. Now, let's proceed to our next segment, in which I will invite on stage the UK Minister for Development, Ms. Annalisa Dott, to give a remark on the Responsible AI Initiative. Madam Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much indeed, and it's such a privilege to follow on from such a powerful speech by the President and such an inspirational panel discussion as well. We're really grateful as the UK for all the leadership that has been shown by the German government on this and the many other partners who are gathered here today. We've already heard in detail about the opportunities from AI, the opportunities for economic development, opportunities for health, education, agriculture, for combating the climate crisis and developing climate resilience. But of course, we've also heard about the potential disadvantages and dangers as well, those of people who could be left behind, and the potential to entrench inequalities, as we heard so powerfully a moment ago. The UK is determined that we do work with other countries on this so that we can indeed go further together. We've been partnering with the Bill Gates Foundation, also with the US, Germany and Canada, through the AI for Development Funders Collaborative, so that we can coordinate efforts to build responsible AI capability that supports researchers, innovators and companies through the AI for Development programme. And we endorse the principles that have been come to today, that you can now see on the website, that we think are such an important framework, and we look forward to having a declaration that together can set out that strong framework for the benefits of AI for development and ensuring that we don't suffer from any potential drawbacks. Thank you again.
Thank you, Madam Minister. I would like to ask you to remain on stage as we proceed for our group photo. Now we've come to our photo session. And for this photo session, I would like to also invite President of Ghana and also our wonderful panelists and also key partners that have participated in this Responsible AI initiative. I would also welcome on stage the CEO of Smart Africa, Mr. Lesina Kone. Welcome, sir. I would also invite Director of the United Nations University Center for Policy Research, Mr. David Passarelli. Thank you, sir. And Chief Innovation Officer of USAID, Mr. Mohammed Abdul Kadir. Thank you. So now, how can we proceed? Stand up, please. Yeah, thank you.
va très bien, oui.
Stand here.